Welcome to 8 Unedited Minutes brought to you by the National Speakers Association of Illinois. Today, we're discussing how to create an amazing event experience for your clients. My guest is Jeannie Walters. For more than 20 years, Jeannie has been dedicated to creating meaningful moments and real results. As the founder and chief experience officer of Experience Investigators, Jeannie has helped organizations from small businesses to Fortune 500s like Verizon and Allstate create fewer ruined days for customers. She's a TEDx speaker, a founding member of CXPA, an author, a certified speaking professional, host of the top-rated Experience Action podcast, and six-time LinkedIn learning instructor whose courses have been watched by more than 500,000 online learners. We dive into topics including why creating an amazing event experience starts long before you take the stage, how to customize your talks to reflect your audience's needs, extra value-added things you can do before and after your talk, and the one thing above all else that you need to do to create an amazing event experience for your clients and other golden nuggets of advice. You're going to love this show. Jeannie, thank you for joining me for 8 Unedited Minutes. I appreciate you making the time.
I am so thrilled to be here. Thanks, Mark. Good to see you.
And we're going to talk about creating an amazing experience for your audience and other stakeholders. But to get started, before we get into the tactics, the tricks, the strategies, when it comes to creating an amazing experience, why is that important to you? What's your story there?
I really believe that creating experiences for the people we serve is one of the most meaningful things we can do in life. The mission of my company, Experience Investigators, is to create fewer ruined days for customers. And I really apply that to audiences too, because if we are creating an experience that is meaningful, that will help them move, take action, do something to achieve a goal or feel a certain way, that's really meaningful work. And so that's what I hang on to about the why.
So where does it start? I'm guessing it starts before you get on stage. What's the starting point of creating a great experience? We'll start with the audience.
Yeah, the audience really, we have to remember that they might not know who we are, right? Or they might have been following us for a long time. And so both of those scenarios, we have to think of how do they first become aware of us? How does that awareness build? Because when we think about any customer journey, every single step is either building or eroding trust. And so everything we do in our content, in the way we introduce ourselves, in how we work with the meeting planners and the clients who hire us, and how we show up to those prep meetings and make sure that we're customizing content, all of that is building trust with the audience. So it does start way before we get on stage. And, when we get on stage, we have to also reflect, I know who you are. I know why I'm here. And that's why it's really important to not just kind of take something out of the can every time. You have to make sure that you are telling them, I understand your challenges and problems, and we're here together to help solve them.
So what kind of things can you do? Dig a little bit more into that. What kind of things can you do to customize it so the audience knows you're there for them and you put some thought into it?
Yeah. I think one of the big things is using their language thoughtfully. And what I mean by that is if I went up to, I did something with the laboratory something or other equipment association. They were all scientists. And if I went up there and tried to be a scientist, of course that wouldn't work, right? Yeah. But what I can do is I talked to many of them at the networking event. And I said, what are some of the things that you're challenged with? And essentially they were saying, you know what? There's so much pressure on sales. And so I was like, everybody knows about that, right? Like we've all had that feeling. So weaving in their real challenges is really important. And then using their language, like I asked one of them, what's the most common acronyms that you use? And they told me a few of them. And I said, should I know what those are? And he said, some of those, I don't even know what they are, what they stand for, right? So I was able to weave those in and kind of make a joke out of using some acronyms that everybody knew I didn't really know what they were, but I was able to really reflect like I'm here for you, not just, a generic keynote.
Well, that's great. Once you get on stage and what you do beforehand for the audience, how about for the meeting planner? What kind of things do you do before you get on stage to make the meeting planner happy?
Well, in any customer experience, again, one of the best things we can do is provide reassurance as people go through the journey. So if I'm the meeting planner, I'm going to be anxious about, did you land on time? Did you show up on time? Are you really getting this content? Are you really going to deliver for me? And so I spend a lot of time thinking about where are those points of proactive reassurance that we can give our clients and meeting planners. And that means letting them know exactly when I'll be there and then texting them and saying, I'm on the ground, I'm heading to the hotel, I'm so excited. If I can make it to one of those networking events in advance or the cocktail party or whatever, I always make it a point to go up and introduce myself in person. We sometimes I bring them something depending on the relationship and just really make it so that they know that I am grateful for the opportunity. I know that they had different choices and they opted for me, and that's no small thing. And so I want to show them that I'm grateful for that and I am there for them. I'm going to deliver for them so that when the audience has that great experience, that reflects really well on the meeting planner who hired me, who made that decision. And if it goes the other way, it reflects the wrong way. So that's one of the things I do. And then I also try to be really great about follow up too and just say, have you heard any additional feedback? And be very open to feedback because that is one of the things we've heard from meeting planners is, wow, a lot of people never ask for feedback. Or when they offer the feedback, they kind of blow it off and say, well, that was your audience's problem or that was the event. And we always say, wow, that's great information. Thank you so much. We're going to adopt what we do next time to really make sure we hear that feedback and act on it.
How about for the audience? What happens at, because I'm going to guess it doesn't end when you step off the stage. What kind
Mhm.
of follow up or what kind of post presentation things do you do for the audience?
So I'm a big believer in being actionable. And in fact, in our feedback, some of the repeated comments are actionable and down to earth. So I want them to feel like they can do whatever I'm asking them to do. And so usually that means, hey, here's a guide, here's a workbook, here's something, here's an extra video that we can follow up and say, go ahead and take this action. And then we ask permission to do this, but sometimes we reach out 2 weeks later and say, hey, have you opened that workbook yet? Have you done these things? Here's a video or a podcast to get you motivated again. So it really is about what is the action we're asking our audience members to take, and how can we not only support that action, but almost facilitate it after we're out of the room.
And just to be clear, I think I know the answer, but I want to be sure. Is it one action you're asking the audience to take? Is it multiple? What does that look like?
Mhm. Usually there's one clear call to action that we want them to take, but customer experience is a big topic. And so a lot of times what happens is somebody will follow up individually and say, you touched upon this. What else can we do about marrying the employee experience with the customer experience? Or what can we do about this? And we're in a position where we have a ton of content, as you know. So I've really built my business by building content. So we have more than 475 articles, we have podcasts, we have videos. So we usually have addressed that somehow, and we have a resource we can say, hey, this is just for you. And then follow up and see if it worked for them.
And how, when it comes to follow up, the immediate follow up you mentioned with the meeting planner, is there a follow up like 2 weeks, 4 weeks later? What does that look like to make sure a relationship doesn't just wither on the vine?
That's right. So we usually schedule in advance a debrief call. So that's part of that kind of after event cycle as well. So we follow up right away. We ask for that feedback. Then we have usually about 2 weeks later a call that we have scheduled before we set foot on the stage. And that's because we don't want them to think, oh, it was great. No, we don't need to talk. We really want to chat with them and make sure that they understand how to really support the actions that and the outcomes that they're looking for. And then we continue to follow up. A lot of them actually ask for continued content. So we invite them to follow us in different places. And then we check in 6 months, 12 months. We see if they need a referral for their next event because they might not hire me for everything. I know a lot of great speakers through NSA. And so I'm very happy to provide that referral and make their job a little easier.
And we have covered a lot of ground in a short period of time. When it comes to creating an amazing event experience for the stakeholders, the audience, the meeting planner, people are watching or listening like, okay, this is great. I love what I hear. Whether you're reiterating something you already said or maybe something you haven't touched on. And if you're going to tell people, if you want to have create an amazing experience, at least do this one thing, at least do this. What would you tell people to do?
Really understand the challenges that your audience has and really put yourself in their shoes and think about what would I want somebody to really help me with in this moment? And how can I do that without just sitting there, right? Like, make sure that there's some interactivity, make sure that you're giving them things to do so that they can really walk away and feel like they might not remember your whole speech, but they might remember that one thing that they're going to do, that one action they're going to take, and you've given them the tools to do that.
This has been awesome. If people want to find you online, where's the best place or places to go?
Yeah, I'm all over LinkedIn. That's always a good place, Jeannie Walters. And you can also find my site at experienceinvestigators.com. And my podcast is Experience Action, wherever you listen to podcasts.
Thank you very much. This has been excellent. I appreciate you, Jeannie.
Thank you, Mark.
And scene.